you don't, in my personal opinion, if you don't have the hip hop streets as a core in the hip hop genre, your core is shaky because the streets pretty much determine what's gonna really fly in hip hop. Now, you could be a crossover person and you can rely without the streets for a minute, but after a while, hip hop's gonna move on to something else. You get your numbers and all that stuff, but if you don't have the streets as a core, I think Eminem is seeing that now. Like,
but does it matter for Eminem in his career now? No.
Numbers wise, no, but legacy wise, yes. He's never going to be viewed from a legacy standpoint in this hip hop culture where some of the people that you mentioned are viewed, because he doesn't have that part as the core. You need that part as the core.
My biggest indictment on M is that his stuff doesn't appeal to the mainstream or even the hip hop casual fans, because if you break down the Eminem album, that's not necessarily rap for me. I love M. I was a big M fan, but when I go back and listen to that music now and say, can I process it the same? No. And I think one of the biggest things from M is technically he can wrap circles around people. We can't take that away from him. But culturally, his music, I don't know another artist I can get away saying the type of stuff that M said. And I think the biggest thing that we have to, say as a point to that is that he's white. A black rapper wouldn't have been able to talk about killing their mom, raping her, killing his girl, the type of stuff that he was saying. I mean, like, we could also talk about how big of a lyrical artist he is, but let's think about these quote unquote beefs he had. Pop singers, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears. Like, when have we really seen you go toe to toe? I mean, your beef with cannabis.
Saying these things is making me so happy, man. I've said these things for a long time.
Wasn't relevant. Yeah, you got a job, but that wasn't really your beef. And Benzino is like, yeah, we know he's not matched with you lyrically. So it's like, yeah, he's technical as far as rapping ability. Yes, he could rap people under the table. One of the biggest artists, yes, but the streets are not him.
He wanted no smoke with the game. And it's so funny. Whenever Game went out there and did what he did, you know what? Game, everything the Game gets criticized for, Eminem does in spades. The name dropping, any of the Slim Shady records, is super name dropping. Whether it's Marilyn Manson, whether it's Usher, whether it's Limp Bizkit, or Fred Durst rather, whether it's Carson Daly, whether it's Christina Aguilera, NSYNC, he's name dropping all the time. He's starting beefs with people for nothing. But when Game did that with him, he ain't got no legitimate beef. Or when Game, and that's why when Game said he's the Black Slim Shady, it's so, to me, it's so poetic because he's right. He's putting on this character and would do the same exact thing that this person did, but when he does it, it's whack.
Here's a good argument, because I'm fans of both. I love M and I love Game. I would just tell somebody this: go back and listen to Game's catalog and listen to Eminem's catalog and tell me which one is more bearable today.
Let's be real, man.
Game has a great catalog. And
Game's a better rapper than Eminem. I don't give a fuck. I'll say it right here on this platform. Game's a better rapper than Eminem.
Technically, I don't think, like, rapping ability, I don't think he's a better rapper than M, but
what does that mean?
Better catalog than M.
What does that mean, though? I mean, because I will say this: when Game first came out, the documentary, you could tell that he was new at this rap thing and he didn't have it all together. But over the years, Game has improved immensely. Like, Game right now is fluid with it. Pause, right? Like, that 300 bars and running, Game's way more battle tested than Eminem. Game even shoved Eminem on the Black Slim Shady. Eminem is scared to say anything to the Game. He'll call out Melly Mel. He'll call out Benzino by name, but he will not say anything to Game. MJ with Super Chat. Go ahead. Oh yeah, Super Chat says Drake did for All the Dogs, Scary Hours edition with 6 pure hip hop beats. And those were his lowest streaming songs. Mike, if you're A&R, would you advise him to make pure hip hop albums? I agree with that. I probably wouldn't. But see, this is the thing. For Eminem and Drake and Nicki, I'll throw her in this too. If you make a conscious decision to chase a pop audience, you can't complain about the fact that you ain't getting praise in hip hop. You made your decision. You chase that pop audience. Go get your numbers. You're not going to be ranked in these top tens. You're not.
That's a great argument that I make about Nicki too, because I say when you slice the demo of what their music appeals to, it's not majority hip hop.
No, it's not. But so don't sit here and complain because you ain't on this hip hop list.
Yeah, so when we start making those debates, when people are saying that they don't deserve to be in the top hip hop category, it's top 5, top 10, that's an argument that could be made. Hey, you guys, the majority of your audience is not hip hop fans.
Exactly. And that's all I've ever said about Eminem and his fan base. I never said it's because, his color of his skin and I ain't feeling his shit. His shit didn't get played on hip hop radio stations and hip hop outlets by hip hop DJs. He's just a guy who raps well, but caters his music to a pop audience. Now, when it comes to Interscope and that machine, they made the right decision. We have this artist that's going to appeal to what's going on with this rock rap at the time when Limp Bizkit, Papa Roach at the time, Kid Rock, the Marilyn Manson crowd, let's sell him to them. That's great. Do your thing. But we're not going to do this 10 years later and sit here and say that he was in the same arena as Jay, DMX, and Nas in that era. And most definitely, no, you were getting played on a whole different platform. And so your platform is over there. We'll compare you to what those guys did number-wise and, legacy-wise. Don't come back over after the fact and say, oh, well, he top 5 in hip-hop. How? You ain't even got a record to get played on hip-hop radio.
If we want to start putting people on the top based off their rapping ability, then you guys should start giving Tech Nine his flowers.
Yeah, or we got there's nobody who has better rapping ability than Black Thought.
Yeah,
if we want to just talk about straight up technical rhyming. There's nobody better than Black Thought. I don't think there's anybody that we know on the mainstream and shit, even on the underground level, who could pick up a mic right next to Black Thought and out rap him. I don't think that person exists. And that includes my favorite MCs like Rakim, Nas, whatever. If we're going to straight up bar work, I'm going to go with Black Thought.
And the thing that I could say, like I say, rapping ability, Eminem's phenomenal. Eminem, pen to pad, or even like with his creativity, even if it's not the most that appeals to Black culture hip hop wise, we have to give him credit for his ability as a rapper. But when you
say he's phenomenal lyrically like that, what songs do we point to? See the evidence.
Man, I look at like I said, my favorite album from M is the Eminem Show. I think he got busy on the Eminem Show. Soldier, Till I Collapse. We're talking about what was it? Say Goodbye to Hollywood. Like the Eminem Show is a great album. As far as him aiming to be a hip-hop album, but there's a lot of BS in between Eminem albums too. There's I like Marshall Mathers LP. When I was a teenager, I just loved that he was saying wild shit. I'm 33 years old. When I hear that stuff now, it's kind of like it doesn't resonate with me. Like it was a shock factor with Eminem. But when we really break it down, am I bobbing my head? Am I saying, oh man, this got some good replay value? No, but I can go back and listen to some Game albums because Game, he gave us a documentary and people were like, oh, well, that's basically a 50 album. He had so many hands in the pot helping that. Well, what about his second album? The Doctor's Advocate. What about LAX? What about, what I'm saying? What about his independent work? Like M,
1992,
documentary 2 was slept on about how good of decent of album that was.
Documentary 2, 2.5. Obviously Jesus Pieces.
Yeah. Oh, I love this piece. That came out when I was in college. So yeah, when I look at the discography of a Game versus an M, I'm like, I know there's a lot of faithful M fans, but when we break down the music, Game has better music than M. Sonically, he has better music than M.
He's been in better battles too. And Eminem is yet to respond to Game. It's been like what 2 years now.
He's not. And if it is, it's a line. It's not because
You know
there's
why? Because Game ain't gonna stop, and he knows that. And Game
yeah,
is a formidable opponent. When you look at the people that Eminem, and I only say this because the narrative for a long time has been like nobody want to see Eminem in a battle, blah blah blah. He picks his battles like you say, like Benzino. He'll respond to MGK, even though it took him a while to do that, and I think he actually lost that one. He'll respond to Mariah Carey. But when somebody like the Game jumps up, he even responded to Melly Mel because he knows that Melly Mel's style and his flow doesn't translate in the modern era. That's safe. But when Game comes up here, you ain't gonna say nothing to him.
I mean, there's a lot of rappers that's not going to say anything to Game just based off the fact of the Game culture that follows the whole LA thing and Game. Just based off that, a lot of people are not going to say. But one thing you made a point.
No wax though, because Rick Ross didn't respond to Game either. Like Game is the real boogeyman out here,
and he's not going to. And that's what I'm saying. But when we really slice it, I mean, Game is one of those people that people are battle tested because man, you stood the test of time with a beef with arguably one of the hottest artists of that time frame, and that's 50. There's only so many people that were able to kind of like, oh man, 50 don't have him up against the ropes. And Game was doubling down. You know what I'm saying? Like that whole movement, like he was doubling down, and he was able to deliver classics of a catalog of music without that Dre cosign, really, because
Dre left him alone. As he said, he's Aftermath's runaway slave. I think that is so apropos. He is, and he's the guy who's gonna go out there and say a lot of things that other people won't, and he knows information from the inside, and they don't say anything to him. 50 trolls everybody. He doesn't troll the Game.
And at first, when I seen Game and he's stepping in, he's beefing with Ross, and he goes at M, I was looking at it like, okay, he got another album coming. All right. Because it's like he just want to insert himself and stuff. But I'm like, well, and
everybody does that.
Calls you out. And my homeboy said this. When somebody calls you out, when do you pick and choose who you don't want to respond to? I mean, we see Ross and 50 still every once in a while say stuff about it every once in a while, but why did you feel like you were too big to pick back the Game? And my homeboy had to say that because at first I was like, man, I won't respond to him either. But then I was like, nah, you have enough energy for 50 who's not actively making music.
Yeah.
Why would you respond back to Game? That's a good question.
It's not like Game ain't sold no records. It's not like he's some artist on the come up. He has, like you said, a great catalog. He's a formidable guy. He's been in these battles with some of the best, and he sold records. So what's your excuse for not battling this guy? And he's already put it out there. This is gonna stay on wax. It ain't got nothing to do with no, smack DVD type stuff. And nobody wants it with him on wax. Yeah. There's a lot about him.
Yeah, I mean, Game, we got to start giving Game his credit for his catalog. Even his consistency, we have to start putting that out there. I mean, Game
his ability to get better and better over the years as well.
Yes,
and his competitiveness, man.
I think the only thing that keeps Game from being mentioned in that conversation is like interviews and some of his antics. It rubs a lot of people the wrong way, and I feel like that's why they don't put him in that conversation. And then you don't really see him align with anything West Coast as far as other artists a lot. We've seen there was a time period when like Kendrick first dropped and he passed him the torch and all of them was around there. But like, let's see, the pop-up Game's not around. When there's a lot of big West Coast moments, the Super Bowl Game's not around. Like,
I have something to say about that. Not to interrupt you. I think people are afraid of having Game around because he's off the grid. They don't know what he's going to say. And I think that kind of trickles down to the fact that people don't really pick him up for features. He has a lot of features on his stuff, but people don't have Game on for a feature because they don't know what this nigga's going to say. You know what I mean? And like you said, they don't have him at these places because they don't know what he's going to do. They don't know what he's going to say. He's off the grid when it comes to that. He's kind of like a major independent artist in that sense. And I don't think there's anything more hip hop than that. Like, hip
Yeah, I
hop.
mean, Game is one of those people that have shown that the older you get, he still doesn't give a damn about who says what or whatever. But I do think he makes a lot of contradictory statements in interviews that come back and bite him in the ass. Like you go and Drink Champs and you say Kanye did more for me than what Dre did my whole career. You'll say stuff like that, or you
Yeah.
say you good with Ye, and then you leak a song of you talking about sleeping with Kim Kardashian. Like there is some things with Game that's questionable as far as character that are consistent to where I think it takes away from people putting him up there. He does a lot of things that uh makes people dislike him, but musically, he's in the conversation. I think people need to give him more love for his catalog because I think if we match it against a lot of people, there's not a lot of people that could say they have a catalog as him.
The game can't be denied. All right, man. I appreciate you being on, man. We're about to wrap it up real quick, man.
Um,
Everybody, thumbs up in the chat. I think this is a great conversation. I mean, we kind of cover everything, but yeah, man, we got to do this again for
yeah,
sure.
facts.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. And like I said,
Mhm.
like and subscribe, everybody. So you want to leave the people with something before we get up out of here?
Yeah, you guys could follow me on IG, Jashad904. That's JASHAAD904. Tap in with me. I'm here. Holla at me. I respond too. So, just get at me and let's talk.
Let's do it. All right, man. Let's do this again, bro.
All right, bro.